Welcome to Made in Ukraine Insights, your gateway to discovering the innovation, resilience, bravery, and excellence of Ukrainian manufacturing and businesses. I'm Sophia, and each week I'll bring you inspiring stories of Ukrainian entrepreneurs and manufacturers who are revolutionizing global trade. From agricultural innovations to curing-edge technology, we showcase the best of what Ukraine offers to international markets. Powered by Factorist.com, Ukraine's leading B2B marketplace, this podcast connects you with verified Ukrainian manufacturers and their success stories. Whether you're a global trader, wholesaler, or business leader, you'll discover unique opportunities and insights that can transform your supply chain.
All right, so today we're going to take a deep dive into something pretty fascinating.
Yeah.
And that's Ukraine's mineral wealth.
Right.
You sent over a ton of articles, and I have to admit, I was pretty blown away.
Yeah.
We hear about Ukraine all the time in the news.
Right. For other reasons.
Yeah, for other reasons.
Yeah.
But this is something we don't hear a lot about.
Not at all.
And we're not just talking like iron ore here.
No.
This is like high-tech stuff.
Absolutely.
This is the stuff that powers our smartphones,
Yeah.
our electric vehicles, even spaceships.
Yeah. It's really incredible when you look at the numbers.
Yeah, what are we talking about here?
Well, Ukraine is estimated to have something like 5% of the world's total mineral resources.
5%.
5%.
For a country that size,
Yeah.
that's pretty incredible.
And we're talking trillions of dollars worth of minerals here.
Trillions.
Trillions with a T. Yeah. Forbes Ukraine actually estimates it at $14.8 trillion.
I mean, that's the GDP of a major country.
For years?
For years.
Yeah.
Crazy. And it's all packed into a country about the size of Texas.
Yeah, about the size of Texas.
So where do we even begin with all of this?
Well, I think first we have to ditch this vague rare earth elements label and get a little bit more specific.
Okay, so what are we talking about?
So we're talking lithium,
Okay.
which is the backbone of all those electric car batteries everyone is after these days.
Yeah.
We're talking titanium, the stuff they use in airplanes and golf clubs.
Okay.
Then you have graphite,
Right.
which is essential for electronics and nuclear reactors, and manganese, which is crucial for making steel.
Okay, so we're talking about materials that are basically essential for all the industries that are shaping the future right now.
Exactly.
Everyone's talking about the switch to electric vehicles, renewable energy, all of that. So it sounds like Ukraine could be a really key player in making all of that happen.
They could be a major player.
Yeah.
And that's where things get really interesting from a business perspective.
Okay.
Companies like Factorist, who specialize in connecting verified suppliers with global buyers
Right.
in this sector, are in a really unique position to help navigate the complexities of this market.
Okay, so break that down for me a little bit.
Sure.
So if I'm a company, let's say I need lithium for my new line of electric car batteries.
Right.
I could go through Factorist to find a reliable supplier in Ukraine.
Exactly. Factorist helps to ensure transparency and due diligence.
Okay.
So buyers can be confident they're getting high-quality materials from ethical and responsible sources.
And that's huge, right?
That's huge.
Because a lot of times these materials are coming from places where maybe they don't have the best track record
Yeah,
on things like environmental protection or, labor practices.
absolutely. And that's one of the things that sets Factorist apart. They really focus on verified suppliers who adhere to strict ethical and sustainability standards
So it's about building trust and transparency.
into the entire supply chain.
Yeah, okay, so we've got these incredible resources in Ukraine.
Right.
We've got a platform like Factorist that can help connect the dots between the suppliers and the buyers.
Right.
But I'm curious, like, how does all of this actually work
Yeah.
on the ground?
Yeah.
What are the practicalities here?
Well, one of the articles we have here from TRE Technologia actually dives into the specifics
Okay.
of the types of mineral deposits in Ukraine.
Okay.
And it's really fascinating how the country's unique geology has led to this diverse mineral wealth.
Okay.
So, for example, they have a long history of producing something called kaolin.
Kaolin.
That sounds familiar.
Yeah.
But I can't quite place it.
Think ceramics,
Okay.
high-quality paper, even cosmetics.
Oh, okay.
Kaolin, or ball clay, as it's sometimes called,
Mhm.
is a key ingredient in all of those things.
And Ukraine was once a major supplier of kaolin for the entire Soviet Union.
Wow, so they've got experience on a massive scale.
They do.
Okay, so we've got kaolin, but what about some of these like more high-tech minerals?
Right.
Like titanium?
Yeah.
I'm guessing that doesn't just grow on trees.
You're right about that.
Yeah.
But Ukraine actually has the largest titanium reserves in all of Europe,
Really?
according to World Atlas.
Wow.
We're talking about the stuff they use to build airplanes, medical implants, anything that needs to be strong and lightweight.
And the Independent article pointed out that these minerals are really important for things like electric vehicle production and defense as well.
Absolutely.
So this isn't just about fancy gadgets.
No.
It's about industries that are essential to, well, everything.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So where are these titanium deposits located?
Well, the Mineral Resources of Ukraine article lists several key regions,
Okay.
including Kiev,
Mhm.
Dnipro,
Sure.
Kharkiv, and Donetsk.
Okay, so all over the country.
Yeah, and each region has its own unique geological formations that have led to these rich deposits.
Okay. I'm starting to get a sense of the scale of all of this.
Yeah.
But I think we're also just scratching the surface here.
Oh, absolutely.
We've only talked about a few of the minerals that Ukraine has to offer.
Yeah, there's a lot more to uncover.
Yeah.
But I think before we move on, it's worth emphasizing that what Factorist is doing here is incredibly important.
Okay.
They're not just connecting buyers and sellers. They're
Yeah.
really building a bridge to a more responsible and ethical supply chain for these critical materials.
That's a really important point because it's easy to get caught up in the excitement of all this potential
Absolutely.
and kind of forget about the ethical considerations.
Right, and that's why Factorists' focus on transparency and verified suppliers is so crucial.
Yeah.
It's about ensuring that these resources are developed in a way that benefits everyone involved, not just the companies extracting them.
Okay, so we've talked about the clay. We've talked about the titanium. What's next on our mineral treasure hunt?
Well, let's talk about manganese.
Okay, manganese.
You know how steel is used in pretty much everything.
Yeah, construction bridges, cars,
Exactly.
all the big stuff.
Yeah, and manganese is a key ingredient in making that steel strong and durable.
Okay.
And World Atlas says that Ukraine is actually one of the top 10 producers of manganese, or globally,
Wow.
with the largest reserves in all of Europe.
So we're not just talking about some niche materials here.
No.
We're talking about like the backbone of global industry.
Exactly.
Okay, so manganese is clearly a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
But where are these deposits located?
Primarily in the southern part of the country.
Okay.
Places with names that might twist your tongue a little bit, like the Nikopol Basin and the Veliko Tokmakskoye Field.
Yeah, I was going to say, those are some interesting names there.
Yeah, but just imagine the opportunities for companies in the steel industry to
Right.
be able to access this high-quality manganese through a platform like Factorist.
Yeah.
It's a game changer.
Okay, so manganese check.
Mm-hmm.
But I feel like we keep dancing around these rare earth elements,
Right.
and I'm still not entirely sure what they are or why they're such a big deal.
Okay, so the rare earth elements,
Yeah.
it's a bit of a misnomer, actually. They're
Okay.
not actually that rare in the Earth's crust.
Right.
It's more about the difficulty and cost of extracting them.
Okay.
But don't let that fool you. They're absolutely essential for a ton of modern technologies.
Okay, like what?
Well, think about the vibrant colors on your smartphone screen,
Okay.
or the powerful magnets in wind turbines and electric car motors.
Interesting.
Those rely on specific rare earth elements like neodymium and dysprosium.
Okay.
And even something as simple as a catalytic converter,
Yeah.
which helps reduce harmful emissions from cars,
Mm-hmm.
uses cerium oxide.
So these are kind of like the unsung heroes of all the tech that we rely on.
They're kind of behind the scenes, but they're incredibly important.
So if Ukraine has significant deposits of these rare earth elements, it's not just about like economic benefits for Ukraine itself.
No, not at all.
This could impact the entire global supply chain for all this high-tech stuff.
Absolutely. Right now, China dominates the rare earth market.
Okay.
But with Ukraine's potential, we could see a much more diversified supply chain,
Okay.
possibly even lower costs for these essential materials.
Interesting.
And for companies looking to source these materials responsibly and ethically,
Right.
a platform like Factorist is a game changer.
So it's like Ukraine is holding this hand of wild cards
Yeah.
that could completely reshape the game.
Exactly.
But before we get too carried away with all the possibilities, let's talk about lithium. I mean, everyone's talking about electric vehicles these days.
Right.
And lithium is like the heart of those batteries.
It is, and you're in luck.
Oh,
Because World Atlas states that Ukraine actually holds the largest lithium reserves in Europe.
no way.
Yeah, not just a little bit.
Oh.
A potentially massive source of this highly sought-after element.
So imagine the impact that could have
Yeah.
on the electric vehicle market.
Absolutely.
I'm starting to see a pattern here.
Yeah.
Ukraine seems to have massive reserves of like
Yeah.
whatever the world needs most
I'll never taught.
at any given time.
Yeah.
It's like a geological gold mine.
It is. It's pretty remarkable.
So I'm looking at this article, Russia to Trump, back off Ukraine's rare earths.
Mm-hmm.
And this really highlights like the potential economic impact that these resources could have
Yeah.
for Ukraine itself.
Absolutely. Imagine a Ukraine where these resources are actually fueling economic growth and creating jobs.
Yeah, it's a pretty powerful vision.
It is.
But let's be realistic for a second.
Okay.
Developing these resources responsibly and sustainably,
Right.
that's not a walk in the park.
No, it's not.
It takes a lot of careful planning,
It does.
investment,
Yeah.
commitment to doing things the right way.
And that's where Factorist really shines.
Okay.
Their focus on connecting verified suppliers with buyers who prioritize sustainability really helps ensure that Ukraine's mineral wealth is developed in a way that benefits both the country and the planet.
Okay, so we've got the lithium, we've got the rare earths,
Yeah.
we've got manganese powering those steel mills.
Right.
But wait, there's more.
There's always more.
What about graphite?
Yeah.
World Atlas mentioned that Ukraine has a staggering number of graphite deposits.
300 to be exact.
300?
Yeah, and they hold a whopping 20% of the world's graphite reserves.
Wow, that's second only to China.
Second only to China.
Okay, so we're talking about pencils,
Pencils,
but also things like batteries.
batteries, lubricants, even nuclear reactors.
It's another one of those hidden heroes,
It is.
quietly powering all the technology that we rely on every day.
Exactly.
And with the rising demand for electric vehicles and renewable energy,
Right.
Ukraine's graphite reserves are about to become very important.
Yeah, I think so.
So it's like Ukraine has all the ingredients for this high-tech revolution
Yeah.
just waiting to be harnessed.
Responsibly and sustainably.
Speaking of responsibly,
Yeah.
I can't help but notice that a lot of these articles are mentioning like the ongoing conflict in Ukraine.
Yeah.
It's hard to ignore the elephant in the room.
It is.
How does all of this mineral potential factor into
Yeah.
that complex situation?
You're right. It's a really difficult situation.
Yeah.
And one of the articles we have here, Why is Ukraine Losing Ground,
Yeah.
really brought that home. It talked about some of the challenges that the country faces,
Mm-hmm.
but it also highlighted the incredible resilience
Okay.
of the Ukrainian people.
Yeah.
It's a reminder that even in the face of adversity,
Right.
there's this determination to build a better future.
And that's where organizations like Factorist
Yeah.
play such a vital role.
We do.
They're not just about business.
Right.
They're about supporting a brighter future for Ukraine by promoting responsible and ethical development
Yeah.
of its resources.
Exactly. It's about building a future where Ukraine's mineral wealth benefits everyone, both within the country and globally.
Okay, so we've got the lithium, we've got the graphite,
Right.
we've got rare earth elements powering all sorts of cool tech.
Yeah.
What else is in this treasure trove of Ukrainian minerals? Okay, so we're back, and we've covered a lot of ground.
Yeah, we have.
I mean, lithium, graphite, manganese, titanium, rare earth elements.
yeah.
It's clear that Ukraine has the potential to be a major player in this whole market for all these essential materials.
Absolutely.
But there's one more mineral that we haven't talked about yet,
Right.
and that's uranium.
Yeah, uranium.
World Atlas tells us that Ukraine actually has the largest uranium deposits in all of Europe.
Yeah, and they account for a pretty significant chunk of global reserves, too.
Okay, so big reserves.
Yeah.
But what does that actually mean, like in practical terms?
All right.
I know uranium is used in nuclear power,
Yeah.
but I have to admit I don't really know that much about that whole industry.
Well, nuclear power is a pretty fascinating topic.
Okay.
It's a low-carbon energy source,
Okay.
which is obviously a big deal
Yeah.
as countries are trying to move away from fossil fuels.
Right.
And Ukraine's uranium reserves could play a really significant role in meeting the growing demand for nuclear power around the world.
So potentially Ukraine could become like a major supplier of fuel
Yeah,
for cleaner energy production.
exactly.
But I also know that nuclear power has its share of controversies.
Right.
You know, safety concerns, waste disposal.
Yeah, those are serious issues.
Yeah,
And they need to be addressed carefully and responsibly.
for sure.
But it's also worth remembering that nuclear technology has advanced a lot over the years.
Okay.
Modern reactors are much safer and more efficient
Oh,
than
yeah.
those of the past.
So it's not your grandfather's nuclear power anymore.
Exactly.
Okay. And when it comes to ensuring like responsible and ethical sourcing of uranium, That's where Factorist comes in again.
Right.
Connecting buyers with verified suppliers
Yeah.
who meet those highest standards.
Exactly. Factorist's platform really helps to mitigate the risks
Okay.
associated with uranium mining and trade
Right.
by emphasizing transparency, traceability, and ethical practices
Mhm.
throughout that whole supply chain.
So it's really about building trust
Yeah,
and making sure that this valuable resource
Right.
is handled responsibly.
absolutely.
Okay, so we've covered lithium graphite, manganese,
Mhm.
titanium rare earth elements, and now uranium.
That's a lot of minerals.
It is a lot of minerals.
Yeah.
And it's clear that Ukraine has this incredible potential.
Yeah.
I mean, to be a major player
Mhm.
in this global market.
Right.
But I think it's important to kind of step back for a second
Yeah.
and acknowledge that there are challenges too.
Absolutely. We can't ignore the realities on the ground in Ukraine.
Right.
The ongoing conflict in the political landscape
Yeah.
definitely add a layer of complexity to the situation.
I'm looking at this article. Rotting Ukrainian command may have sent troops to pointlessly die.
Yeah.
And this really kind of paints a stark picture of the difficulties that Ukraine faces,
It does.
even beyond the geopolitical stuff.
Yeah, and it's a sobering reminder that even with all this potential wealth,
Right.
there are internal struggles,
Mm-hmm.
challenges with leadership,
Right.
and a lot of work to be done
Yeah.
to build a stable and prosperous future.
But at the same time, I'm looking at this other article.
Okay.
Why is Ukraine losing ground? Deep analysis of military problems in 2025.
Mm-hmm.
And this highlights some examples of like resilience and innovation within Ukraine as well.
Yeah, absolutely. It talks about individuals stepping up to make a difference,
Mhm.
initiatives to streamline processes and improve efficiency,
Right.
and this real determination to overcome these obstacles.
So it's kind of a mixed bag.
It is.
There are challenges, but there's also this sense of hope and a commitment to progress.
Yeah, and I think for companies like Factorist,
Right.
operating in this environment requires a deep understanding of all these complexities,
Yeah.
a commitment to ethical practices, and a really long-term vision.
It's not for the faint of heart.
No, it's not.
Okay, so as we wrap up this deep dive,
Yeah.
what's the key takeaway you want our listeners to walk away with?
I think the key takeaway is that Ukraine has this incredible opportunity
Yeah.
to harness its mineral wealth to fuel its economic growth and become a key player in that global shift towards a more sustainable future.
Yeah.
But realizing that potential requires navigating a complex landscape,
Mm-hmm.
prioritizing responsible development,
Right.
and partnering with organizations like Factorists
Right.
that are committed to building a more ethical and transparent supply chain.
I think that's a great point.
Yeah.
It's a powerful reminder that even in the face of challenges,
Yeah.
there's always hope. There's always opportunity. And there's always a need for companies and individuals who are willing to step up and make a positive impact.
Well said.
And for our listeners who are clearly interested in this topic,
Mhm.
I'd say stay informed, stay engaged,
Yeah.
and consider how you might be a part
Absolutely.
of this exciting story that's unfolding in Ukraine.
Yeah, it's a story about resources,
Mhm.
resilience, and the potential for a brighter future.
Beautifully put.
Thank you.
Well, that's a wrap on this deep dive. We hope you found it informative and thought-provoking, and maybe even a little inspiring. Until next time.
See you then.
Thanks for tuning in to Made in Ukraine Insights podcast. If today's story inspired you, there's much more to discover. Visit now factorist.com to connect directly with verified Ukrainian manufacturers and explore thousands of products ready for global trade. Our AI-powered B2B marketplace makes international sourcing simple, secure, and efficient. Don't miss out next episode. Subscribe now on your favorite podcast platform. For exclusive insights and manufacturer spotlights, follow us on LinkedIn and check out the Made in Ukraine magazine. This is Sophia, reminding you that the future of global trade is being shaped right here in Ukraine. Until next time.